Hello, in today's video, I'm reviewing some new under eye concealer releases and sharing how they performed on my over 40 dry under eyes that have some fine lines and texture. I have a few correctors thrown in the mix too. There have been quite a few concealers and correctors released lately, so I thought I would share my thoughts and experiences with you so you could decide if any of these might work for you. It just gets harder and harder to find under eye products that apply and wear well throughout the day the older we get, because we tend to get drier in this area and dark circles and texture gets more pronounced the older we get. So I hope you find these reviews helpful. I enjoy putting them together for you. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new, and let's see what the best and worst and in between concealers and correctors are of these new releases. If you haven't seen any of my concealer or foundation reviews before, just to let you know, I am 47 years old. I have combination skin on my face, but my under eye area is dry. I live in New Orleans. It is humid here all year long, and finding products that don't slip off my face because of the humidity is a big challenge. If you think you are my foundation or concealer twin, I have light, medium, neutral, leaning warm skin tone. I keep an updated running list of my foundation and concealer matches over on my blog. It's always linked in my description box, along with the products I share in these videos and what I'm wearing. Now, there are some good concealers in this video, and I am covering everything from drugstore to luxury. That's what I do on my channel, is cover all price points, and we have releases to cover from all price points. I'm gonna start with Flower Beauty Get Real Serum Concealer. There's been quite a bit of buzz about this. I've seen some mixed reviews, so let's see how this worked for me. This is retailing for $11.99 for 0.33 ounces. There are 12 shades. I am in vanilla. This is vegan and cruelty-free. This is a serum concealer, so there are some skincare benefits too. It's got shea butter to smooth out fine lines and plump, nourishing vitamins and sunflower seed oil to energize and brighten, and it's supposed to blur and smooth skin, provide all-day hydration, and feel extremely lightweight and give medium buildable coverage. Now, I prefer my concealer to look as natural as possible. I like it to mesh with my skin seamlessly and beautifully, and normally I use the warmth of my finger to accomplish that. It's something I've just been doing lately and really loving. I find the consistency of this to be very creamy, very similarly to the somewhat new Huda Beauty concealer. I prefer to apply this with a barely damp sponge. In comparison with other concealers that I use and enjoy on a daily basis and that I'm reviewing today, I find this to set fairly quickly. So you do need to work with it and blend it out pretty quickly. I think that that's partly why it remains pretty crease proof if you're not prone to creasing. If you're someone that creases regularly under your eyes like I am, you're gonna crease no matter what. That's partly why I don't talk about creasing a lot. If you're gonna crease, you're gonna crease. But if you're someone who's not prone to creasing, this is pretty self-setting, and you could probably get away without using setting powder. This feels extremely lightweight and gives, I would say, medium full to full coverage depending on how you apply it, if you use a corrector underneath it, and if you layer it. It has some really nice coverage without having to build it up and make it look cakey. I was impressed. I would say the finish of this is a soft matte finish. I think some people are going to like that and some people aren't. If I'm having a good under eye day, it's fine, but sometimes I'm not. I think a lot of you can probably identify with that, and on those days, I want it to have a smidge more hydration. I would say that my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer and the Huda Beauty I referenced earlier do have a little bit more hydration than this formula. Now, as far as wear goes, again, if you're not prone to creasing, you might do fine without setting it. I do have to set it just like I do with most concealers. Now for me, I feel like this does look really nice and smoothing for several hours, but it always hits a point where my dryness and texture start to show. It may be 6 hours, it may be 5, it may be 8, but it does always happen. And sometimes I will notice it settling into my harder creases under my eyes and forming a hard line. It always hits that point. It's almost like it hits a point where it starts to suck the hydration out from under my eyes. I don't know why that happens, but it does. I know some people are loving this. Some people are thinking it's just okay. I feel like I'm falling in that category. If I have a short day, it's fine. If my under eyes are having a good day, it's fine. It's a little bit too temperamental for me. I think if you are maybe a little bit younger, a little bit less textured, a little bit less dry than I am, you might really enjoy this. Your mileage may vary. Everything doesn't work for everyone. And what doesn't work for me might work for you and vice versa. Givenchy launched their Prism Libre Skin Caring Concealer and 3 correctors to go along with it. For today, because 2 of these correctors, the blue and the green, are for the face, I'm going to focus on the peach and save those 2 correctors for my monthly favorites and fails. So today I'll be focusing on the peach corrector and the under eye concealer. These retail for $37 for 0.37 ounces. Now there are 24 shades in this concealer. I'm in the shade C180, which is described as light with cool undertones. I typically prefer a cool or peachy pink undertones underneath my eyes. That's just what helps me look the brightest and healthiest when it comes to my dark circles, my discoloration. So this concealer is supposed to be a revolutionary, hydrating, water-resistant, multi-purpose 24-hour wear concealer that also cares for your skin and improves your skin quality over time. It's supposed to give you a smoother, more hydrated, lifted, and even looking appearance around your eyes the more you wear it. Both the concealer and corrector have very thin consistencies that apply and blend out extremely easily and quickly. I would say the coverage of the concealer is light to medium. Because I have dark circles combined with hollows underneath my eyes, I usually need more than light to medium coverage underneath my eyes. So I do need to add a corrector underneath this concealer. Wearing the concealer alone is just not enough for me. The concealer feels extremely lightweight and hydrating, kind of cooling, and the finish is smooth and skin-like, extremely natural, very flattering. It's actually the perfect concealer for no makeup days, for just natural everyday makeup, or if you're having a day where you're not wearing any makeup, but you really just want to cover your dark circles so you don't look so tired. And it does wear beautifully all day. It never feels dry, looks dry, enhances my texture. It doesn't wear away at the inner corners. It is a beautiful formula. Now, as you can see, the peachy tone of this corrector is a bit darker than my shade in this concealer. I normally prefer lighter peach correctors with a little bit of brightening to them. Since I do have darker circles and hollows, it just helps me out in that area. So this isn't my favorite tone for a corrector, but if you have more of a medium skin tone, or if you just enjoy this tone for your under eye circles, you may really like this. This again has that watery formula and more of a sheer consistency, a very light consistency. So in my opinion, I think it's best for those of you who have moderate discoloration that you're trying to counterbalance before you apply your concealer, which is always good. It always helps us apply a little bit less concealer. These two pair well together. They pair well with other products. They look extremely natural. And I'd say they work well for any skin type, dry, oily, mature, if you want a light to medium coverage concealer that looks like skin. Next up, we have a drugstore concealer from an underrated brand. I find a lot of great products from Pacifica. This is their Dreamlit Glow Concealer and Corrector. It retails for $16 for 0.21 ounce. Now, their shade system is a little strange. So you can see I have a darker shade here and a lighter shade here. The darker shade is shade 9. The lighter shade is shade 11, which is a little backwards. Shade 9 is what I use on my face, and I will sometimes mix the two under my eyes and brighten just right at the darkest part of my hollows with shade 11. Sometimes I'll use shade 11 if I want a really brighten look. This is cruelty-free and vegan. This has liquid mineral color to deliver the appearance of tighter, less puffy skin. It's got vegan squalane to help lock in moisture. It's also got vegan collagen as a fermented peptide to help support visibly hydrated skin. This is so incredibly creamy. It almost melts into my skin and gives medium to almost medium full coverage while feeling lightweight and extremely hydrating. The finish is very fresh and natural and kind of glowy and luminous in a good way. There's no sparkle. It's smoothing and flattering and highlighting. It doesn't emphasize any dryness or texture or anything I don't want it to. And to set, I only need a light dusting of powder. If you're not prone to creasing, you may not need to set at all. And it wears beautifully all day long and into the night. This was so impressive to me. Now, you may have noticed at the very beginning, I didn't mention how many shades there were, even though I gave my shades. That is the major drawback to this product. There are only 5 shades, and I don't know why. I've yet to see Pacifica address this. I don't know if they intend for these shades to be adaptable across multiple skin tones, kind of like a skin tint. The product inside is so good, and I hope that they are coming out with more shades. So I'm hoping that that is their intent, is that they want these to span multiple skin tones, because there's really no excuse for only having 5 shades if that's not the intent, right? If anybody knows, please let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if you tried any of these or if there are other concealers you want me to review. This is great for mature under eyes, great for any skin type. It's actually one of the best drugstore concealers I've tried. Next up, we have the Tom Ford Traceless Soft Matte Concealer. This retails for $60 for 4 grams. There are 20 shades. I'm in the shade 2NO, which is described as a light medium with neutral undertones. This is a skincare infused stick formula that has hyaluronic acid. It's supposed to help plump and reduce the look of lines both immediately and over time, and hydrate for 12 hours. It's got vitamin E for antioxidant protection, which is a great thing. It's also got soft focus spherical powders that help give this silky smooth application with a natural soft matte finish that blur and help provide buildable coverage. It's supposed to be non-caking, crease resistant, waterproof, transfer sweat, and humidity resistant. I'm always skeptical when it comes to stick concealers. Very, very few are successful for me because most formulas are very drying. This has a very creamy yet thin consistency, yet you don't need much to get decent coverage. Sometimes I apply it straight from the bullet. Other times I dip my finger in it and apply it almost like it's a pot concealer. I would say depending on how you apply it or build it, and if you use a corrector with it, you can get from light medium up to medium full coverage that remains lightweight and comfortable and looks natural and skin-like, even with that soft matte finish. It doesn't look drying. I was kind of surprised by that. I think if you're not crease prone, you might not need to set this. I kind of sound like a broken record in this video. I don't need much powder to set it, which is really nice. I went into this thinking I was not going to like this. I kind of didn't want to like it because of the price point, but I love it. I think this is a fantastic stick concealer, and I love having stick and pot concealer options that work well under my eyes because they're so convenient, and they're also great for when you travel by plane and you want to have a solid concealer option that's truly flattering if you don't want to settle for something. This is beautiful. It looks natural, it wears well, it's comfortable. This was such a surprise that actually leads me into my next review, which is a bonus I reviewed because I kept seeing people compare it to this. It's not new. I just never tried it, and I thought now is the perfect time to try the infamous Clé de Peau concealer. I mean, this is a cult favorite among a lot of people. Now, from what I understand, it was reformulated maybe last year. I'm not sure, but this is $75 for 5 grams. There are 12 shades. I picked up the shade beige. This is supposed to deliver up to 6 hours of hydration and protect the delicate skin around your eyes with SPF 12. It's also supposed to improve your skin condition around your eyes after 4 weeks of use in terms of smoothness, hydration, and radiance. And it says it's got a creamy texture that blends easily and adheres to textured skin, leaving you with a beautiful radiant finish that lasts without creasing or fading for up to 16 hours. Now, I was pretty surprised by this the first time I tried it. I've gotten used to it now, but the texture is pretty dry. When you go to blend it out, it's almost like a film forms over the top that you have to break. And even after you do, it's still just takes a bit to warm it up. And for that reason, I never apply this straight from the stick. It's just far too dry. So I always take my finger in it and then massage my fingers together to give it even more warmth and then apply it. I would say this gives medium to almost full coverage that feels lightweight and comfortable. While it gives a smoothing, natural, flattering matte finish, I would say it almost dries down to a soft powder finish rather than a soft matte finish, which is something I wasn't quite expecting. It doesn't really emphasize dryness or texture, it's just more of a matte finish. Now this does last nicely, it wears well all day, but I definitely don't think that their radiant finish claim is true, at least not on me. Maybe my under eyes are too dry. And let's be clear that I do always prep my under eyes very well during my skincare routine with eye cream and everything. I just don't find this quite as flattering under my eyes as I thought it would be because of that powdery finish. Now this I thought I was gonna love because everyone else seems to, and I find it to not be the finish that I had hoped for. I don't hate it, I just don't love it the way I thought I would. So the feelings I thought I was going to have for this are actually the feelings I have for the Tom Ford, which is kind of surprising. So Clé de Peau, just okay for me. Tom Ford, love it. This video was going to be filmed and released much earlier, but then Ole Henriksen released their Banana Bright Vitamin CC sticks, and I decided they had to go in here. I wanted to check these out, try them, and review them for you. So here we are. These retail for $34 for 0.13 ounce. There are 3 shades, banana, apricot, and pumpkin. The pumpkin shade I knew was going to be way too dark for me. It was not going to work, so I picked up banana and apricot. Banana is supposed to be for purple dark circles, apricot for blue and purple dark circles, and pumpkin for blue dark circles. These are cruelty-free and vegan and are supposed to be great for all skin types. These are color correcting eye cream sticks that are supposed to neutralize dark circles when you layer them with concealer, while at the same time they brighten, hydrate, smooth, and blur fine lines and wrinkles. Now what's different about these from other correctors, what intrigued me is that they have 2 forms of enhanced vitamin C to help brighten and fade the look of dark circles. They have caffeine that nurtures and supports the skin. I'm sure that's supposed to depuff too, but they don't really claim anything about that. Now these have a very creamy consistency. They apply nicely either with my finger or directly from the bullet. On my light medium skin tone, I definitely prefer the brighter banana shade to the apricot shade. I just feel like for my dark circles in particular, it works a little bit better. These do feel lightweight. I don't feel any oiliness or anything like that. I do notice that they thin out as I start to tap them out with my finger. I did try a few times, instead of tapping them out with my finger, kind of doing an underpainting technique and just applying my concealer on top of the unblended corrector and just letting them kind of blend themselves out as I blended out my concealer. That helped a little bit, but there's something about these that kind of thins out once I put my concealer on top. It's not completely gone, but it does thin out a little bit more than I like my corrector to thin out. And I do feel like I can see or kind of pick up on that yellow undertone underneath, which I personally just don't find to be super flattering on my under eyes in particular. I feel like it can make me look a little bit sick. I much prefer a peachy undertone when it comes to my correctors. It makes sense that these are yellow because they have banana powder inspired pigments. I was wondering if these might replace my beloved Bobbi Brown stick corrector in Bisque, and unfortunately they don't. I wish they had something in a peachier tone because I really do love the skincare benefits that they have. If you like a yellow toned corrector and want something on the more sheer side, you might like these. They just didn't replace my current favorite. If you're curious about my thoughts on other under eye concealers, check these videos out. I hope you enjoyed this and found it helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos like my upcoming foundation roundup with new foundation releases coming very soon. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!